Hello again. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Carlos Cueva. I'm a sales consultant with Pega. I have 20 plus years experience working with enterprise software, the last 14 plus years as a sales consultant, working with companies such as FileNet, IBM, EMC, Guidewire, and now Pega, helping them and their customers meet their business objectives. I know in the past we've talked a bit about our strategic applications that Pega provides, but today I want to spend the next 10 minutes or so talking about the Pega 7 platform in the layer in which our strategic applications are built on. So without any further ado, if I could begin. If you remember, our strategic applications are compiled of Pega Marketing. We have Pega Operations, Pega Sales, and of course Pega Customer Service. And one thing these strategic applications all have in common is they all are built on our Pega 7 platform. All the services on this platform are completely multi-channel. What that means is that a customer or anyone using the platform can access it via, for example, the World Wide Web, can access it via mobile device. It can access it from home or their work, or in a more traditional manner, can access it by calling the call center and talking to a customer service rep. Anytime when you're talking about building an enterprise type of application, there's always going to be that need to access data and possibly integrate with other applications. We are easily able to provide that through the use of integration adapters for both inbound and outbound type of communications in the form of connectors and services. So regardless, if we need to extract data, say from a legacy system, or communicate to existing applications that's sitting in your infrastructure, or an application that is out there somewhere in the cloud, we're able to provide that execution layer that enables that application to execute that complex business process that can be make use of your current infrastructure. Now, when building these types of applications, it's important to note that there's the whole notion of these application components. When we're talking about application components, essentially we're talking about processes. We're talking about reports. We're talking about integration. We are talking about analytics. We're also talking about data, case management, as well as a user interface. Usually when we're talking about building these type of components, it requires us to have access to an API or an SDK. With Pega, you don't need these because these components essentially are baked or built right into our Pega 7 platform in the form of a unified model. What is a unified model? Well, essentially it's a model-driven environment that goes against a traditional approach. If you remember, in a traditional approach, there's this whole notion of requirements, which essentially leads to the need to code or do some programming in order for us to have that application. Well, by using that model-driven environment, we essentially eliminate the need for coding that is usually necessary in order to generate. How is it that we do that? Well, we do that because we have essentially those requirements built right into our Pega 7 platform, and these requirements essentially allows both business as well as IT to work hand in hand in order for them to be able to generate that business application that is needed for them to roll out. What this does is this accelerates the development process quite a bit because essentially there's no need for code. And all those components that we talked about earlier, the process, the reports, integration, the analytics, the data, the case management, and the user interface are not needed because they're essentially are generated with the use of our model-driven approach. And as with most enterprise type of applications, it's very typical for them to be able to expand on that application either to other regions or other lines of businesses. So let's talk a little bit about how we can better serve that. So let's just say, for example, we had an application that needed to be rolled out to North America, but later we find out that it also needs to be rolled out to Europe as well as Asia Pac. Traditionally, what would happen is you would have possibly 3 flavors of these applications rolled out at 3 different times. But with our model-driven approach, we also introduce this whole notion of a situational layer cake, where we can essentially create a base layer where all these applications essentially have all their common features that can be spread amongst the enterprise. And on top of this, the base layer, we could essentially have a North American application, a Europe application, as well as an Asia Pac application that make use of that base layer containing all those common features. And essentially, if we wanted to expand that even further to, say, roll out an application to the United States as well as Canada, we can build that application right on top of that North America application and essentially inherit some of that same functionality. What this does again is this allows us to accelerate development in a big way. Other things that we're able to do here is essentially it gives us a level of intelligence that it bubbles up to anybody that's accessing or utilizing this system. In a case, for example, of our customer service rep, it makes them more efficient from a training perspective. It's a lot easier for them to ramp up a lot quicker because they don't need the level of training they would normally need in a traditional approach. So to summarize what we've talked about, Pega 7 is complete. Essentially contains everything you need to create that complete application. It's fast. Well, how fast is it? Well, Capgemini recently did a study, and they found that Pega 7, in fact, is 6.4 times faster than traditional Java development. They've also found that it is 8 times faster to make any sort of change needed within the application. And lastly, it's scalable. It's scalable because, again, IBM in this particular case did a study not long ago where they ran out of hardware as they were trying to see just how scalable Pega 7 would be. What they found is that in their study they created over 100,000 users before they ran out of hardware, and this is due to the way we're able to generate additional nodes in order to serve more users. So, well, that in a nutshell covers it. I want to thank you again for allowing me to take the time to go over this with you, and look forward to having further discussions on how Pega 7 can best streamline your business processes. Thank you again.